Hello, so tell me what your name is.
LaMartha.
Okay, perfect. Today I will be asking you about 4 questions for my class, and you just give me your honest and cool. Okay. Do you think the prison industrial complex needs to be more reformed? Why or why not?
I would say yes, because I feel like the conditions in the prisons are also just not up to date. I would say it's not healthy. I would say it's not really humane in some aspects. I'd also say like the way we do, I guess, go about who goes to prison, who doesn't, like the structure of that, like that whole system, I would say is really biased, and it's based on like stereotypical grounds. So I would say that needs some reform.
Like, what ways do you think the government or the country could go about that? Like, what would that look like, a prison reform?
I would say like I'm not really sure, but I would say it's definitely something that's like deep in our system in our country. I feel like you'd have to like tear like the whole system down to kind of make it better, which is something I feel like we're not really willing to do. But I just mean like, I guess when you're looking about who goes into prison, like, yeah, this sounds dumb as fuck.
No.
You have to cut this shit out. You have to cut that out. I would say, well, good like rehabilitation services. I feel like when someone gets out of prison, like if you search up the statistics, I feel like they're most likely to go back because they kind of just come out with nothing, and they come out being expected to just go back into society like it's easy. And I feel like they definitely need aid, they definitely need help, which is something our country doesn't really give. So starting there would be good.
What do you know about Kalief Browder? You know Kalief?
I do know Kalief Browder. Is this the... Don't put this in there.
Okay.
Cut the cameras.
So let me re-ask the question. Okay. So what do you know about Kalief Browder?
I did learn about him. I think he was a young boy who went to jail. He was accused of something he didn't do. And he was put in solitary, right? And he came out. Obviously, he didn't get the help that he needed, and he ended up committing suicide, which is, again, like what I said. Like, I feel like when someone goes to prison, like, their whole life is getting upended. So I feel like when they come out, they are gonna need help. They're gonna need mental health care, and I feel like our country really doesn't really look at prisoners as humans. They kind of just look at them like subjects or numbers. So I feel like that is something that we need to look into more.
Clock it. You waited till we left. Clock it.
Okay, my last question is what is your opinion with the state of the country right now? Like, just very simply. Like,
I hate it.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like I.
Oh yes, thank you.
Okay. I would say our country is obviously not the best right now. It's just a lot going on, like too much. I would definitely say it's because of who's in presidency right now, who's in office, but just like the way we're handling immigration and everything, the way we're handling just like, I don't know. I feel like our country was just built on racist, like a racist backbone, and I feel like we still obviously show that till this day, and I just think like it just needs a lot of work, needs a lot of help.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, LaMartha.
No problem.
So hello, who am I here with today?
Camila Issa.
Okay, so I'm gonna be asking you 4 questions for my prison lit class. Okay, so for the first one, do you think prison industrial complexes need to be reformed? Why or why not?
I do feel like they should be reformed because I feel like how the system is now, it's not set up for everyone, especially when it comes to different mental illnesses or disabilities. It's not inclusive in those ways. Also, since the system is corrupt, things are not in place to be available or even, what's the word?
Nice. I'm finding it.
Accessible for everyone.
So what do you think that would look like? Like therapy or better rooms?
Definitely, I would say better food. I would definitely say better rooms, as well as when it comes to the cleanliness or even the environment that they're in. What I've heard, also what I've seen, it's not really great. Although it is jail, these are still humans, and there are different things that should be regulated and put into place for those that are in these type of situations. Also, I would say, other than therapy, I would say better resources when it comes to like health problems. I would also say those with mental illnesses, I feel like jail, yes, prison, yes, but also maybe a mental hospital or something like that.
Okay. And do you think if a prison was more clean and had all these things, there would be a less percentage of people going to jail and then coming back to jail? Like, do you think that because there's a lot of people who there's most of the people who go to jail always come back because there's no there's no reform in the prisons. There's no way for people to get jobs after that. There's no way to guarantee like a positive like environment for these people, which then leads them to thinking, well, if I'm gonna come back, might as well, you know?
Yes, I feel like that has more to do with the system once you get out of jail, which is also a problem. There needs to be more, not even resources, but a better system in place for when those get out of jail. Because I know it can be harder to even find a job. That's why a lot of people go back to what they were doing that got them in jail or prison. So I think the system when you go in jail and the system of when you get out of jail needs to be fixed.
I did a midterm about a person of my choosing who was a victim to um, the judicial system for me personally, and I wanted to ask if you knew anything about them. Their names are Khalif Browder.
I don't know anything about him.
Okay, well, Khalif Browder was a young man who was put into jail for something he did not do. And since he did not take a plea deal from the government, they put him in solitary confinement as a punishment for 3 years, which then led to him killing himself a couple years later. Even though after he came out of jail, he did go to community college, he was living with his mother, he was seeming to get better until he hit his breaking point and took his own life. What are your opinions about that and like connecting it back to our system today?
I think this is very unfortunate, and we've had exper- we've had close experiences with situations like this, and I think that is not only messed up, but is very sad and traumatic to even hear about. On another topic, a bigger topic, mental health when it comes to Black men, and then also knowing how their own suicidal rate is very high, and how there's not only not a lot of resources, but it's not really looked upon because Black men are one of the top people that people like what's it called, like people just don't care about.
Yeah, when
I
it
would
comes
say
to like
mental health or
mental health,
even like any type of
medicine.
health
Yeah.
are cared for. So I would say that's very unfortunate. It's very sad. um this happens on an everyday, I feel like this is an everyday thing. This is not the first situation or the last situation of a Black man being charged and forced to plead or say that he did something that he did not. There's a lot of situations, even going back to those, because you said this was in the Bronx.
Yeah, the Bronx,
Even going
East
back to
Coast.
those, I think those three kids that were put in jail back in the day that were
Central Park Five.
the Central Park, yeah, the Central Park Five, where the kids were convicted of something that they did not do.
Yes.
Even when it goes all the way back to Emmett
Sexually
Till,
assaulting a white woman.
back to Emmett Till as well. Same situation. This is not the first or the last time it's happening, and I feel like, and I don't feel.
No, don't say that. Okay. Next question, our last question. What do you think about like our political climate, like economically and everything that's happening right now? Like just like you can keep it short and sweet, but like what are your personal opinions?
I think it's a bit unfortunate just because of how the system, especially our recent president, I feel like it's not. I can speak on it, but at the same time, even within, this is not the only place where the president is bad. Even when going back to our country, our president is also very terrible. So it's a problem, but is it a problem that we can overcome? Definitely, because he's been our president before and we've overcome it. But it is unfortunate that we still have to deal with these things, hear these things, and everyone just thinks it's a joke, and it's really, really not.
Yeah, so what would you about like all the things happening right now in the media about immigration, what also would you have to say about that?
I would say this is also a triggering conversation because our uncle recently just got deported. But I feel like it is very interesting to see how people are so dehumanized when it comes to just them not being from a certain country and how they're treated, especially seeing all of the terrible things our president has recently said about immigrants, and then also having immigrant family members, when even our immigrant father, just fearing for his own safety or his life is very, I would say, traumatizing. I would say, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Samira got me
Cut,
there.
cut.
I'm about to
You
start my
can't-
period, obviously.
It's okay. Cut this clip.
Okay. Samira's gonna be like, it's very traumatic, as you can see.
See everyone. I would also say that it's very unfortunate, and a lot of people are experiencing all of the new things that are put in place, like the regulations, and it is unfortunate, but hopefully, as a country, we'll be okay one day. God bless.